Hey there, hi there, ho there, hello there, and welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we discuss the joy and excitement of UofL women's athletics, being the kind of dead period of the year where not a whole lot's going on. We still have things to talk about, yes, and we'll be bringing you those today. We have a great interview that Daryl did earlier in the week with the newest assistant women's basketball coach at UofL. Also got some things that Jared has been into lately, and we'll just kind of talk to Jeff a little bit too about volleyball. We're going to have a fun show today, regardless, and we'll get to all that. Plus, of course, perhaps maybe the last scheduling and Twitter we do on the show. I've had some thoughts about it, and Twitter, of course, is no longer Twitter. Scheduling is non-existent right now, and I'm just wondering if anybody really uses the information that we provide in that segment. You know?
I mean, you're not even allowed to call it Twitter.
No.
So
I'll go into anyway.
We do anyway. Yeah, I mean, we openly defy their request, but
and we know, and everyone knows what you're talking about. So
Yeah.
well, sometimes if you've got a good name, why change it? You know, it's just
it's a dying media.
Yeah.
Well, megalomaniac media is no stranger to this world. Believe me, people will do that. But we have a house of four today. That's right, tea time for four with Daryl, Jeff, Jared, and myself. So we'll go ahead and kind of catch up with the crew as we like to do at the start of the show. Jared, what's been going on with you this week, pal?
Lots and lots of overtime.
Well, you've been playing some close games. Is that what you're telling us? You've been in a lot of close games?
If only. Thankfully, I'm hourly and work is allowing overtime because we're having to pay for an auto claim after somebody hit my wife's car in a parking lot a couple weeks ago, decided not to tell us, and we came out to the damage.
Did you hate it? That's happened to me a couple times in my life where you come out and here's this fresh new ding on your side panel or in the back.
Yeah, so needing a new back side driver door, new quarter panel, and she may have to get the gas tank flap door replaced as well.
Oh, that sounds extensive. You doing dealership on this or going to a mechanic?
We're going to a mechanic that was recommended to us by insurance. That's pretty good. That has a lot of positive reviews.
Now, do you still have to go through the whole 3-quote type of deal in order to get the best? I wouldn't guess you would in this case because you're paying for it, right? Yeah.
No,
it's recommended by the insurance.
Right, we just pay the deductible and insurance covers the rest.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they're just like, go get a quote somewhere, an estimate, let us know. Okay.
I didn't even have to do that when it was somebody else at fault in the wreck. I just took it the first place I went, and they were like, yeah, all right, we'll pay it. So.
And I think but it's been a while since I've had to report anything like that on a car. The only one was when I almost demolished my wife's Ford Ranger many years ago, but that was insurance adjuster came out and took one look at it and said, yeah, that's totaled. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Don't worry about it. But, that can happen. Oh, driving automobiles, we hate it, don't we? But we still have to.
Well, if we had more public transportation with trains and monorails, less cars on the road.
Preach it.
I wonder how the monorail system would work in a city like Louisville, though.
Monorails usually aren't all that interesting, but,
No, but they're
metro systems and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, light rail.
Monorails typically don't interfere with your roads as much because they're above ground. Your trains may be a little bit tougher.
You can build light rail above the ground, though. Same way. It's the same sort of thing.
Which that's what they've done out west a little bit. I think Seattle has that light rail above ground system.
Charlotte has a nice
Seattle
monorail
actually has
system.
a monorail, too.
Yeah. They do, and Charlotte has a nice monorail system as well down there in North Carolina.
Have a
We took
monorail?
that.
Really?
Yeah, we
Wow.
took their monorail system from the hotel. It was running out back of the hotel. All you had to do is go out the back door, walk across the parking lot, and you could get your coin and board right there. And it took you all the way down to the football stadium in Charlotte, where the Cards were playing in a bowl game that year. It's been a few years back, Jared. You might remember when it was. I don't
When
exactly.
we lost to Georgia.
We played down in Charlotte in a bowl game, and maybe
Yep,
it was one. Yeah, it was to
it
Georgia.
was Georgia. That was when Thomas and I first crossed paths again. It was a
'Cause it was,
Tuesday. I'll never forget.
Because Georgia had like 3 current NFL running backs on their roster.
Yeah, gee, no problem there. We can handle that.
Yeah, we got waxed.
Yeah, it was not much of a game from what I remember. I can just remember being on the monorail and riding, and we had coolers full of beer. And we're
I
off. Yeah.
I remember not being a fan of Georgia fans. They were not fun.
Guess what? You get to see them at L&N Stadium in 2025.
Lucky
Oh,
me.
are they coming in? They'll remember Daryl too. They'll walk in. Hey,
They
you're
may
that
not want
bean
to come
lady.
here.
We don't want to come here. Let's go to IU instead.
Oh, please do.
So I gotta go back to this. Charlotte has a monorail as
I
opposed
know
to
that
light
seems.
rail.
I thought they had light rail.
Maybe it
They
is
have
light
light
rail.
rail.
Maybe I have
Yeah.
the two confused too, and what they actually do.
Yeah.
It was a
Light
ra-
rail is like a train, steel wheels, steel rails, 2 rails. Monorail is like a single concrete beam that it would ride on. Like you would see like at Disney World has a monorail, The
Well, we had to walk
monorails
up.
are
We had to walk up steps to a platform,
sure.
It can
and
still
then
be
we had
light
to wait
rail.
on the
It
platform,
can be elevated, sure.
and we had to buy coins to get on it.
Sure. But
And
it
we
had
had-
rails
That's subways,
like
too.
a railroad line, right?
I see that part of it I don't remember because I was drunk at the time. And
The pictures I'm seeing is it's all light rail, right? It's a train, but it's just smaller and lighter.
But it
not
took
not
us right
heavy
to
duty.
the stadium. It was amazing.
Sure.
Just took us right to the stadium.
That just means it's a well-designed light rail line.
It
At least
was.
partly. Yeah.
And it was good because I was drunk.
Yeah.
And I had
That's one of the
people
great
with me.
things about it,
And they walked me up the stairs and they walked me down the stairs and they told me I was having a great time. And I was.
Yeah.
So how about that?
That is one of the positives of light rail is,
Yeah.
you don't have DUIs or drunk drivers,
Well, I guess probably, I don't know, they could have got me for disorderly conduct in public or something.
Yeah, I mean, you still have public intoxication,
Maybe,
stuff like that. But that's, I would rather that than somebody getting behind the wheel like that, right?
I
Oh,
remember
absolutely.
being very friendly too, and walking up to people and asking them if they wanted beer because I had my cooler with me, and a couple took me up on it. Now, whether I was breaking any public orders by drinking on a light rail or not, I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably, but yeah, I don't know what Charlotte's open container law is.
Yeah,
but,
I don't either. All I know is that the ACC is moving their headquarters lock, stock, and barrel to Charlotte.
Yeah.
Leaving Greensboro and going to Charlotte. Keeping it in North Carolina, mind you.
I think Louisville is a great place for the ACC headquarters.
Oh, it'd be wonderful, but we only have one school in the ACC in this state.
Yeah.
Charlotte, of course. Although they don't have a school in there, although I know they'd love to get Charlotte in. Had 4 different schools in their state in North Carolina that are in the ACC, at least for now. In the ever-changing nature of the conference, who knows?
Yep.
There's talk again about 4 or 5 schools leaving to go elsewhere, but whatever. We won't worry about it. Suffice to say, though, Jared has had a fun week. Jeff, what's going on with you this week?
I've just been busy with work. Got head down doing stuff there. Making some good progress on a project that I'm working on. It's exciting to see things come to fruition. with that. Still got some more work to do, but it's uh, yeah, same old, same old. Summer sports is okay. Following some recruiting news a little bit. I don't aggressively do that, but some of it happens. So see some of that. Yeah, not a whole lot else going on. Pretty quiet.
A quiet week as compared to maybe later on in the year when the season is rolling in volleyball and other things, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, obviously late August things start getting busy and running all over the place and yeah. So yeah, but it's exciting. It's also nice to have a little downtime like this too. So
It is good.
yep.
Daryl, besides large appliance removal, what else have you been into?
Well, I mean, I'd rather have a quiet week than, you could have like a live critter up in your attic like
Oh,
we've
yeah.
had this past week.
Oh, all
Ugh.
kinds of things going on in the Daryl household. Okay.
Yeah, so funny story. A month or so ago, we had our camera, our home system camera on the ground. We were like, "What the heck? How did this happen?" Maybe one of those crazy storms we had. Whatever. We put it back up. Well, then we get a notification that an animal had crawled over it. So, like, we literally see the animal's back end going over the camera. And then we're like, well, okay, like that, it's up there, right? Then we get our new tenants. They send us a video that they hear something walking around. We assume there's an animal up there. Anyways, we had to get these companies out here. Someone wants to quote us like $1,700 to even out. They'll be like 17 to 3,400. Someone else was like 700. All this crap. Anyways, I think it was a it could be a possum or a raccoon.
That was going to be my first two guesses, yes.
Yeah, I think it was a possum based on the look of the tail that went up, kind of like a rat tail. But yeah, anyways, we had the people coming out all week. We had traps around. We did catch a possum, and they ended up putting a cover over the spot that got pushed out of the way. So I'm thinking they think they got it.
That's good.
That was my week.
Yeah.
Down in and when I lived down there, I lived off Delaware down in Schnitzelburg area. But down at that part of Louisville down there are possums all over that freaking part of Louisville.
And also alley cats. So we caught a possum and a cat.
The possum that we caught, and it was quite by accident, but we had a possum that was terrorizing our backyard and stuff. And it was in the final days of Bobby the Yorkie. And Bobby would go out and bark at the possum, and the possum would hiss at Bobby, and Bobby would turn around and run back in the house, scared to death. But
They're terrifying.
yeah, he said, what is this thing out here? I
They're
thought there was
horrible.
something I could play with. No, what have you done?
They are horrible.
They are. But that was back in the day, and I'll admit that my habits of eating weren't all that great. Good, but we would fry up almost like a whole package of bacon
Yeah.
and then eat it for breakfast on the weekends. And so I would pour all this bacon grease off into a tin can, right?
Yes, that's what you're
What
supposed to
else?
do.
What else are you gonna do with it, right? So we'd let it cool down, and we would set it in the trash can for us to go out the next time the city came by to pick up the trash.
Right.
I go out to put the trash in the trash can outside one morning, and there is a possum that is covered in bacon grease
Eee.
laying in the bottom of my trash can,
As if possums couldn't get worse.
and it just kind of looking at me and hissing like.
Let me enjoy my bacon bath.
It's like, don't eat at Sykes restaurant ever. Too much grease, man.
The character. Friggin' comic book character.
Yeah. And I had kind of a reactionary neighbor down in Schnitzelburg at that time. He saw the whole thing and he came over with a bat. He said,
Yeah.
let's beat that thing. I said, I think this possum is in enough pain by itself already here. He's probably got a cholesterol level in the thousands. Look at him. You really want to beat this thing with a bat?
Yeah, that's a little extreme.
He was kind of, it wouldn't do any good, would it? So I moved the trash can to the alley and tipped it because I had an alley behind our house. Tipped the trash can on its side, and the possum slithered off somewhere. Who knows where?
Probably up in my attic.
Probably straight to Daryl's new house. Yeah.
He's been roaming these streets for 30 years.
Still covered in bacon grease. And
Finally, that Sykes restaurant closed so long ago. The Faust
Yeah.
just finally opened. God,
God, they got an overview now. This is great. Oh.
Uh,
Which my wife calmly said, "Well, if you cook with bacon grease, you can expect bad things to happen." Well, okay, maybe that's stretching it a bit, but anyway.
I don't live by that rule.
Yeah, I don't either, really. I mean, yeah, I don't mind frying bacon every once in a while. I don't do it as much as I used to, but
yeah.
I'll order bacon as a side dish when I go to breakfast somewhere. Sure, I still don't mind 2 or 3 strips of bacon with my meal
Yeah.
if it's a breakfast type meal.
Those are rookie numbers, Paul.
Oh yeah, you go bigger.
Oh yeah, the more the merrier.
There was a time when I could, eat about 8 or 9 pieces of bacon. Shoney's used to have the breakfast bars. I'm sure you all will remember, and
Yep.
maybe Frisch's had them as well at one time. I don't know if Frisch's still does or not.
Are there
They
many
closed.
bridges left?
They closed the one in Fern Creek, Log, Stock, and Barrel.
Mm.
In
The
St.
one
Matt?
over Poplar Level, I think, is still open.
Is
That
it?
one is very scary.
Oh yeah, it is.
Don't go there.
Yeah, I haven't eaten in that one in a long time. No, that's over there by the Swiss Hall, not Swiss Hall, but the
German American Club.
German American Club.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
I
that
remember.
piano store.
That appears to be the only one in
I
Louisville.
think so.
'Cause
And
there
it's
was
not
one
great,
off.
so
There
days are
was
not.
one off I-65, wasn't there, at one time? Over there near Fern Valley? Is that one gone too? Wow.
It's possible. I don't. Yeah, I don't.
The big boys' days are numbered.
Yeah,
And
when you put in Frisch's on a search, there's only one that shows up. I mean, there's Frankfurt has one, Lexington has a couple, Georgetown has one, Dry Ridge has one, Madison, Indiana has one,
yeah, I've seen the one in Madison before.
Florence, Burlington area has one.
So basically, we're not recommending Frisch's to the new assistant women's basketball coach.
Yeah,
No.
probably not a great idea for her to go there, and I would think that maybe she would.
She'd be scarred for life.
Well, she's got 2 young kids like that. And do you really want to get on those bad eating habits that early in life? Yeah,
Kids used to love that big boy statue out front.
better take her to take him to First Watch. That's always a good place to go. Or Cracker Barrel's always a nice place for breakfast too.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna be at U of L, you gotta like Denny's, right?
Well, yeah.
On Eastern Parkway.
Eh, in the daylight, I'm not sure.
No, not in the daylight. Of course not. But you're not going there for fine cuisine, clearly. But
I always say bring your voice.
Denny's has been a nice stop for me many years ago when I would be at the track until 11 p.m. Long after the horses had stopped running at Churchill and I was bidding West Coast stuff. And
so what you're
then
saying is we need to get a monorail built to Denny's by U of L.
I would like a light rail. I don't think I'd understand the monorail fully enough yet, Jeff. But I can ride a light rail. I know how to operate that.
Yeah.
If they could run a light rail out of Churchill, past Papa John's, I'm fine with that. Cardinal Stadium, right down there, and hit that Denny's on Eastern Parkway, and what is that, Crittenden Drive? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a stop there.
Would literally be Floyd Street Live.
It literally would be. Yeah. And imagine how much fun it'd be during Derby. Woo! All the people on that thing. So anyway, I'm totally lost now what we're going to do on this show. But that's fine because we're having fun. I think scheduling and Twitter and our last official, most likely I'm gonna let Jared do our final one because I know he's done them for so many years. They're probably kind of close and dear to his heart, and so Jared, with a bit of sadness, I think I'm going to let you have this last scheduling and X information.
Yeah, we still don't have any scheduling at least for 3 more weeks. I believe it's the weekend of August 3rd, 4th is when we see a women's soccer scrimmage. We are officially a week and a half away from the start of the 2024 Summer Olympics. Plenty of UofL student athletes, men and women's side, that are competing there. I'm excited to tune in and watch that. But for Twitter/X, Case, who's not here with us today, tweets out his best case scenario, no E in the word best. Daryl, who's currently moving a refrigerator, tweets out his Daryl Faust 4, that's the number 4. Jeff's got a couple Twitter accounts with Jeff McAdams and Card Couple Radio. That's where you'll see a lot of volleyball news come out. Paulie tweets out as Cardinal Couple, and I tweet out as Mr. Anderson Jared.
And I also try to tweet out when I'm on light rail, so just so you all know. Uh, but but if I had to go monorail, I don't know what I would do.
I'm ready for the Paulie field hockey, soccer, volleyball tweets coming up here in the fall.
I look forward to those as well. Yeah, I'm excited about them. I actually talked with Matt Paris the other day down on campus, and had a nice conversation with him, and we were talking a little bit about the Amanda Butler and how she was coming in and stuff. And he said, "I got to be honest with you, Polly. I don't know a whole lot about her yet." I said, "I wrote up a nice thing on her." I said, "I just don't know the woman." I said, "Well, that's okay. You know, you're going.
Yeah.
You will learn her in time, I'm sure."
Right.
And so, but a great guy down there. If you ever get a chance to stop and talk to Matt in his offices down there, do so because he's a fun conversation, and you just may learn something too if you're not careful, Jared. He could teach you something.
I got to see him here at soccer before I see him at basketball.
Well, yeah, I will too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
And yeah, because up in soccer, with based on the successes of last year's team and the probable success of this year's team, that's not going to be a real crowded press box up there for women's soccer at Lynn Stadium. So, or at, yeah, not at Lynn Stadium. At there, uh, we'll probably have maybe us as a media representative, and that'll be about it. Maybe one of the student groups, but I doubt it.
Well, we're in need of a new updated Cardinal Couple pictures, so we should try and get the whole crew out there for a game this year.
Yeah.
Has it been since like 3 years since the last one?
Yeah, you never go to games, Daryl.
It's been a year.
She's pacing herself. Yeah, I think that's where we did have the. If I'm not mistaken, I think Case's Lindsay took that picture. If I'm not mistaken,
Yes, she did.
uh, we were all five standing there by the press box, if I remember correct. I've got it somewhere in my
Yep.
photos, but could be time for an updated model. We'll see. We'll trade it in. This one's still got good mileage on it, doesn't it? It's
Some
still
of us have
relevant.
gotten old since then.
Daryl is a lot shorter than us, so in this new picture we take,
I'm
I
even
want to
shorter.
I want to perhaps put her on a riser and then cut the picture off before you can see the riser, so she'll be
Well,
standing up there at our height level, and like,
they've got the stairs in the seating, so you just put her on the
Dad,
stairs
look
now,
at Daryl, how much she grew.
You all can
Wow.
just hold me in front of you and I'll lay horizontally.
Oh, you're
Daryl's
gonna
gonna eat her
plank?
spinach. She got tall and strong.
You'll see if that does the trick.
It's working at UofL. They did it to her. It's the water down there. Yep, it's the water. But we'll go ahead and get into. I think let's start with Daryl today, shall we? Daryl got down to campus as she normally does every day, but this time she made a side trip. She went over to talk to Amanda Butler, who is the newest assistant coach for the University of Louisville women's basketball program. Was formerly the head coach at Clemson and is now a Cardinal. So, Daryl, how did that go? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so I know that we say that this is the not busy time for, you know, U of L athletics, but right now it's pretty busy on campus with the turnover season and getting the everybody ready for this new semester and the new school season. So for me, I am super busy. I get to see all the new faces of faculty, staff, coaches that come through. Some student athletes have some on campus jobs as well. So Amanda was one of them that I was in contact with over the last month or so. The first time I called, because I call everybody and make sure they're ready to go before they start. And when I called her, she was in the middle of a pickleball match, like match point or something crazy. She was at a wedding, a destination wedding for some friends, and that was one of their the couple's favorite activities. She's not an expert. This is a new thing for her. Something she does outside of basketball. So I thought that was interesting. Asked her if she was busy at the time so we could chat, and she's like, "Well, it's match point." So I let her go, and we talked a time or two after that, getting her ready for her new job. But I didn't actually catch her the day she was in the office, so I tried to send her an email and tried to coordinate another time that we could meet face to face, just to extend that hand and say hi, welcome to U of L, and let her know who Cardinal Couple is. So my coworkers also were really nice to brag about me while I was not at that location that day and put a plug for us. So that was nice. And yeah, so we emailed a few times over the last few weeks as she's getting into her position, and we coordinated something this week. I went over there on Thursday afternoon. She said she was the only staff on site at the practice facility at that time because Coach Walls is over in Turkey watching Elif play, and some of the other coaches were maybe out recruiting as well. So she was holding down the fort already, just a few weeks into uh, her new job, and she had all U of L practice clothes on. She was super excited to meet me and get to talk about U of L. And if you hadn't checked out the post from Friday yet, I put all the U of L related information or conversations we had on there. We did get into some other stuff like Olympics, just because it was, we're close to that. And then some other non U of L topics that we could share as well. But um, it was really nice to meet her. She was super excited and grateful for us and this site. And yeah, she did mention, because I thought of it when you said Twitter this morning, she made it a point to say that she was so happy to see that there's a site out there that's not just social media that's sharing stories, because she thinks it's super important to have that depth and that other type of media that's longer than your 140 characters tweets and that kind of stuff. So she was super excited to hear about that, and appreciates all our dedication to U of L. And she was super nice, and says right now she's learning the culture, which I'm sure mean getting to know everybody personally and seeing what gaps that she could fill in. She says she will do whatever Coach Walls asks of her. They've been friends for a while, and when her transition happened, is what she called it. A transition from her previous program, Clemson, happened. Her and Walls were in conversation a little bit, had a couple talks about it, and they thought it was a good idea to move forward. So it could be a really like a special. What's the word I'm thinking of? We have 2 head coaches on our team right now. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's a great, could be a great thing, hopefully, and take us to that next level, because we need to get back to the Final Four. And she was, you know, mirroring that same conversation. She's super excited to come to U of L because of all the history and where they are and the consistency and the ability to put together really special teams. And I was checking this morning. U of L has finally updated GoCards.com for the roster and the coaches, not the schedule, but roster and coaches are up for 2024 and 25.
She was a well-known players coach
Yeah.
down in Clemson, where despite the relative lack of success that the program had after her first couple of years there, the players loved her. You heard very, very seldom, if at all, of players wanting to leave the program because of disagreements with the coaching or the philosophy or their playing time or such. Uh, Once she got them on campus, she was good with them. Do you kind of see her fulfilling that same role here, Daryl, and what she's going to do in addition to going out and recruiting?
Absolutely, because didn't one of the Clemson recruits switch her? Was it Amari?
Yeah, Amari Berry, yeah.
Um, switched
5-star, yeah.
her commitment. So she's following her, and I think that's awesome. It says a lot about her as a coach and the player as well, because if she's committed to this coach and then like follows her, it says something about their relationship and each as individuals.
I think that she'll definitely do that well. If you kind of take a look back at where she's been, she was at Florida for 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
a very, very strong program in the SEC. Although maybe not as successful in women's basketball as some of their other, D1 programs, they still were an SEC basketball program. That's pretty big news. That's big
Yeah,
time.
during the time of Pat Summit, right?
Yeah,
Playing against that, so that's some heavy competition, steep competition.
yeah, and I think having to battle that, I don't know if Staley was at
I
Central
She
Carolina
was
yet.
probably still up at Temple there.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, it may have been still
Yeah.
Temple, but certainly there were some very, very good coaches there that she had to compete against day in and day out. And I can remember her getting Sydney Moss, who was a very, very good basketball player up around the Ashland, Kentucky area that we were just dying to have come to school at Louisville. And Walls had rolled out every type of color carpet he could to get her on campus. And she won that battle and got Sydney Moss to come to Florida for a couple of years. The problem being is that Sydney's, whose father was a fairly decent NFL wide receiver named Randy Moss, you might remember him.
Yeah,
That was
recognize
her
that name.
dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she basically had her dad's attitude as far as why she was at college. It was all about her and not about the team, which was sad. And try as she might, Amanda could not get her to change her thinking to be more of a team player and less of a me player. And once she left Florida, after Walls saw what kind of player she was, Walls decided he wasn't going to go after her. And I think she ended up her career in Marshall, if I remember correctly. And being a big fish in a small pond there, but certainly not at the depths of being one of the best five in the nation when she was a high school senior, like she was. Uh, Her coaching style that she had at Clemson, from what I can remember about it, Daryl, seemed to be one that the players were definitely pressuring the ball quite a bit before it crossed half court when they were on defense.
Okay.
Uh, Walls can come and go on that. Uh, I think probably more, and you kind of touched on this a little bit too. She's going to be working mostly more with the guards, wouldn't you think?
I think she's willing to work wherever he's asks for that assistance. But you naturally gravitate to where you played. And that was her position. And I'm sure she sees things that she could potentially see things that Walls doesn't as a player. I mean, we know Walls played as well, but I mean, just that male female aspect and reading your other team. She could contribute in some other ways that could be successful. But I think that if Walls said, "I need you to coach defense," she'd be more than happy to do that. And like you mentioned, just putting that pressure on the other team. And she praised Coach Walls's ability to make in-game adjustments. He could do that for her as well as much as he does for players. He could say before the game, I want you to keep an eye on so and so, and then by the middle of the first quarter, be like, scratch all of that. We're changing it to this. So I think that's what she's excited about, is his ability to make adjustments to win games. She praised him so much on the consistency he's had with Louisville, putting them in the positions they have been to be successful, and his postseason success. She really praised what he's been able to do with U of L, and says that it's not an easy task to do, and he probably gets celebrated within that conversation. She didn't mention for what reasons maybe he gets those, but I could think of a few maybe. But I think she's excited to just jump in wherever she's needed, and if that's the point guard position, I think Walls would be willing to listen to her and see what she has to say about it.
It will be interesting and fun to watch her in her first few weeks of the season when the teams are playing, to see what she's actually doing on the sidelines and how she's interacting with the rest of the staff and the players out there. And,
I didn't ask because the schedule's not confirmed, so I didn't want to have her guess, but I thought about it afterwards. Like, if she has any games she's circled that she's looking forward to.
But besides Clemson, gee,
yeah, I figured that one was, the ACC opponents were obvious. We were watching the Notre Dame game. They had that Notre Dame game at home where Hannah Hidalgo went off here, but we managed to win. They had that going on in the background, so I'm sure the Notre Dames and the Clemsons of the schedule are on her watch list.
Notre Dame is building a potential powerhouse up there again, which is very scary.
It's scary. I hate it. I hate it. Is Sonia Citron still playing for 8th season?
I think Sonia's back for their final year.
She's heading back for her true senior year.
Yeah, she's headed.
Why could we not steal her?
And
I would have loved to have gotten her here.
Oh yes, jeez.
The way that she reacted toward Cardinal players and Cardinal atmosphere, I don't think they could have got her in chains with a mandatory sentence here.
She's not a fan. Yeah, she would, but that's the thing, though. It's if you can't beat them, join them. My mentality is if we can't beat her, which she beats us, please put her in a U of L uniform.
But think about how many actual Notre Dame players have we ever had transfer here.
I can't think of any. It's too much hatred.
Yeah, there's too much. Yeah, there is too much. I mean, even Kentucky players transfer here and play.
I can't think of a Notre Dame player.
I can't think of a single Notre Dame player that ever came here.
That would be wild. I would feel like we committed a robbery.
Oh, the NCAA would probably investigate the hell out of it. Why? Why do you want to leave this?
Just another thing on Coach. She was really nice. I actually did give her a U of L women's basketball bracelet. I told her, just welcome to Louisville. I'm so excited to have someone who's, she's been coach of the year. She's got a gold medal. She's has a great playing career. She's a successful coach. I'm glad that she found a home here, and I hope it just works out. And I told her, go get the hardware for us. We need some new hardware. She was super excited about the bracelet. I gave her one to keep, and then I made her one to give away. So just trying to, extend some hospitality, and hopefully it blossoms into something exciting this season. On our way out, we did run into Lamont. Shout out Lamont.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, my bub.
Yeah, so
he's my buddy.
She praised that coaching staff. She said, when you've got people like Walls and Stephanie Norman and AJ and Courtney Walton, who played here and is now on staff, just a staff of so much history like that. That's a lot of years, and she is a rookie to come in and like get to know the staff that's been together for say a decade. That's a tall task, and it says so much about U of L and the program and Coach Walls. So she's really excited to be a part of that.
I think that she'll fit in nicely with us, and can't wait to meet her for the first time and perhaps see if she wants to accompany me on a light rail trip somewhere. Oh, preferably both of us being drunk, but we'll
She
find
said
out
she's
about
a
that
better person. So bring
down
her
the
and
road.
see what happens.
So we're going to Iroquois Park. Yeah, hop
Let's
on.
go dive into the Ohio and scuba dive.
Oof,
See how many
probably
bodies
not.
we can find there down there. Just kidding.
Oh, that's a very scary thought. Yes. You ever wonder what happened to some coaches that are no, never mind. Jared's list runs deep. Jared was also busy this week writing about stuff, and he put a nice article up on the Thursday edition of Cardinal Couple where he was talking about Jaden Ulrich, who is going to the Olympics. Why is she going to the Olympics, Jared? Should she get tickets?
I don't know if you can even come by getting tickets for it, but no, she's headed to the Olympics to actually represent the United States in this one. The first woman for Louisville's track and field program. She's going to compete in the discus throw. That's one of multiple events that she's competed in and competed with the U of L over the years. This past year, she was NCAA runner-up. She won a ACC championship in this event. I think she's ranked, if I remember correctly, 25th in the world at the moment, which for a college player, that's pretty darn good. So I'm excited to see what she can bring to the table. And while we're always happy with medal counts and gold medals, even if she can have a solid run and maybe get a personal record, that's certainly a big moment. But just getting to the Olympics is phenomenal, and we're excited that she's there.
We have had a nice long story tradition of excellent throwers on the women's track and field side, going all the way back, of course, to like Imani Henderson, who was quite
And
the
even
thrower for
before, I
us.
can't come up with any names, but
I can't
even
remember
before,
who it was
yeah,
before Imani, but we did have a couple others that were really
yeah.
good. You're right. Chene Orcaro was the one that threw for us. Deanna McCarthy. You can think of some of the others that threw and did well, not only the discus but also in the shot put.
Yeah, shot
But
put, hammer throw, whatever they all are, all the different throwing
yeah,
events. Yeah.
she was a bit different though in the fact that she came in with her coach. She was a transfer in from Indiana. And when her coach came in and said, "Yeah, I'll take over the throws program at Louisville this season," she came along with him. But that's good for that program, is it not, Jared? That the fact that we are getting quality people to maintain the quality that the program has exhibited over the last 10, 15 years.
Oh yeah, I think U of L's had a strong, uh, in terms of track and field, the field events. I think that's where they've excelled over the past few years. Um, I think maybe on the long distance track, we've had a couple of folks before. It's just been the short distance sprinters where we've struggled. But this is always a great recruiting tool if the coaches used to do so. And you can just put out there, hey, we've got another competitor that's competing in the Olympics at the top tier in the world. And this is one of many over the years. So you hope that they'll put that to use and be able to continue to bring in strong competitors.
Certainly so. And hopefully, I know that they kind of, in the showing of the Olympics, of course, every 4 years it kind of changes on the format and what channels. It's primarily NBC, but they have a lot of side channels that they peter their stuff off to, and also now the Peacock is a predominant thing now as far as viewing goes. I'm sure they'll have a lot of stuff on that, which I don't have. But I've understood, Jerry. What is there a pretty good deal? You can get that to watch the Olympics on it or something.
Yeah, they have a monthly subscription, but you're looking the Olympics last 3 weeks. So if you sign up the first day of the Olympics, I think it's like $13 or $14 a month. you're paying that to watch every single event in the Olympics, and then you can go ahead and cancel right after that. I think that's a pretty solid deal.
It doesn't sound bad for the money spent when considered. I think I've paid as much as maybe $14.95 for one single pay-per-view event.
Yeah.
So
It's a pretty cool deal if you're, in particular, if you're a fan of
Of breakdancing.
Some of the more obscure sports. You want to watch handball? Hey, you can get it on Peacock. It's probably not going to be on any of the other channels.
Yeah, what's $15 when you could watch synchronized swimming?
I can't about synchronized swimming, but to each their own.
The weirder the better for me.
Because my understanding is that Peacock is going to carry every event. You'll be able to watch every event of the Olympics on there. So
I was always and of course this is not a summer event, but I was always a big curling fan.
Yeah, curling, handball. Yeah.
Of course, we had the very successful WCHQ curling team down when we had the radio show. And I think, Jared, you were captain of that team for a couple of years, weren't you? And then you slipped on the ice and broke your ass, and we had to replace you.
I wish I could be on a curling team. That'd be fun.
It is a lot of fun.
It's getting bigger here in the United States, I'm pretty sure. The curling club has gotten a little more popular in recent years. Yep. Since the last Winter Olympics, I'm pretty sure. Let me just Google
it. If you are familiar with the establishment, I don't know if it's still open or not because I haven't been there in a couple of years there. But across the street from St. Agnes over there is Shenanigans. And it's a bar, and then there's another bar right on Barrett there, and I'm struggling to think of the name of it. But they have this big front porch. What is the name of that bar that has the big front porch out there?
Oh, 80-20.
Is it 80-20 now?
Yeah, 80-20 at Kalen's is how they...
Oh, Kalen's is what it used to be called. Right, okay,
right.
That's what it was. Well, they had that big front porch out there, and in the cold winter months, sometimes it would freeze over. And so we would get out there drunk with a broom and a ashtray and practice our curling. And you can imagine what the results it had.
Yeah.
People falling down and,
calls to the police.
Stopping their cars and watching as 5 guys with coats on falling over the front porch of Kalen's flinging a broom around in the air. Yeah. That was my time.
So Wikipedia says that curling's recent popularity has swelled to 185 curling clubs and approximately 23,500 curlers in the U.S.
And there is one here in Louisville.
No?
I would think that they would be out at Iceland, maybe out there, Jeff. Or...
is that the one on Cardinal Lane? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's also one at the East End somewhere.
Yeah, there's an ice rink out there. I don't think there's any curling stuff. Maybe they might. I don't know. But says, the one that I know of is at Iceland.
Yeah, the Gardner Lane down there, which is where I learned how to ice skate many years ago.
Yep.
Yes,
indeed. The USCA, the United States Curling Association, typically holds 12 national championships events each season. So that's how you get to make it to the Olympics, the big stage.
There you go. You could get out there and be a curler. I want to throw the steam kettle down there, though. That's what I want to do. I don't want to use the broom. That's too much work. I just want to release the steam kettle and watch it go down the ice.
Yeah, Paul wants to yell at everybody.
That's right. Jared, to your left. You're right. Your left. Don't fall down. No. Get up. Also, Jeff, we got some news about volleyball earlier in the week. And
before we leave the Olympics real quick, let's touch on one more thing with the Olympics.
If you'd like, sir. Certainly what you got.
Let's shout out Suzanne Bush.
Yeah.
The commentator for a lot of the UofL field hockey matches.
Yes, indeed.
With the ACC network, she is going to be commentator for the Olympic field hockey. For the Olympics field hockey. She doesn't get to go to Paris. She's apparently going to Stamford, Connecticut and do it remotely. But I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
Your voice is coming from Paris, sort of.
Sort of, yeah. I guess they bring the video back and they do it from the video, merge it, and I don't know, but yeah. So she's yeah. Shout out to Suzanne, homegrown Louisvilleian. Uh, yeah, played here, and now gets to be the commentator for the U.S. broadcast of Olympic field hockey. So very cool.
I've had the pleasure of sitting next to her
Yeah,
on several occasions up in the field hockey press box,
yeah.
where
I've
she was giving the
exchanged
call.
greetings with her once or twice. She seems very friendly. So
Very friendly, very nice.
yep.
She
Certainly
used to
knowledgeable of the
work.
game.
Knowledgeable as all hell of the game.
Yeah,
In fact, she was impressed with some of the things I knew. She goes, "How do you
yeah,
know all that about field hockey?" I said, "Well, I learned it all from you,
yeah,
listening to your broadcasts." Ego stroking as I was. And
yeah.
anybody who can work that along with Jody Demling and not go crazy, I admire her for that as well. Because he would come up with, well, let's not get into Demling. I'm not going to bash him. I'm being good today. But look at how the players run down, Suzanne, and the way they hold their sticks. Well, what would you expect, Jody? That they put them over their shoulders and like go down in military fashion, marching? Yes, you want your stick extended. Uh, and even Jeffy,
Yeah.
what else have you got for us on the Olympics here?
Yeah, no, that was it for the Olympics. I just wanted to throw that in there. Shout her out. She's represents Louisville
Yes, we'll
well.
be watching and waiting for her, and perhaps once she's done all that, she will come back to Louisville and do field hockey again. Then we
Yeah,
can brag on her even more and talk to her
yeah,
about
absolutely.
her
Yeah,
experiences of covering that. Uh,
yeah.
I just wonder what nation worldwide, some of the other nations that have field hockey programs that will challenge ours deeply. Do you think? Will the Japanese
Netherlands,
mount anything? Netherlands, obviously,
Netherlands. Yeah,
we've gotten quite a few good players over the years, and they're world renowned as far as their
when I
programs
was
over
when I was there about a month ago, and I went out on my bike ride and realized how out of shape I was. One of the things I saw was people riding around on bikes, and I went down by the Olympic uh, complex in Amsterdam as one of the places I went. And I saw people riding their bikes down there, carrying field hockey sticks, getting ready to go to practice or something. Like a bunch of them. So it's a big sport over there for them. So yeah,
certainly not quite the scoring punch that a lacrosse would have, although fairly nature in the fact that women are carrying sticks with different things on the end of them, hitting
this was
different types of
this was
balls.
guys too, by the way.
Oh, guys, too. Yeah, well,
Oh
absolutely. I'm
yeah,
sure that, yeah,
yeah. There's because it's men's field hockey in the Olympics. So
like lacrosse, men's field
yep,
hockey is a very big sport in some
yep.
areas. It's never really taken on the collegiate level here that well, I don't
Nope.
think.
Well, you
But
also deal with Title IX
Yeah.
restrictions.
yeah, that's true too. Uh, but before we get to the kind of end of things here, Jeff, give us a little idea of what's been going on with volleyball.
Yeah, so volleyball, two different sort of things happening in the volleyball world, um, sort of similar echoes of each other. First of all, let's talk about pro volleyball a little bit. This coming year, beginning of the year, there will be two different pro volleyball leagues, three if you count Athletes Unlimited, but two different traditional volleyball leagues. Uh, with UofL players, former UofL players playing in them. So, and our rooting interests are coming together nicely, actually, in single places. So, to start with the PVF Pro Volleyball League, which is the one that had started this past year, we already have a season under their belt. Iko Jones signed to join the Atlanta Vibe, so she'll be playing down in Atlanta. Tori Stringer, Nee Dilfer, uh, who transferred mid-season in a trade to Columbus, the Columbus Fury, re-signed there, so she'll be with Columbus again. Maybe a little bit, unfortunately for her, however, Wilma Rivera, who was playing for the Orlando Valkyries last year, signed with Columbus as well. So we'll see who gets the start there. I would probably guess Wilma, but I don't know for sure. We'll see how that comes out. But so anyway, two former U of L setters, both playing for Columbus. So that'll be interesting to see. And then the other league is LOVB, Love Bees. How I've been saying it. I don't know if they use that branding or not. Two you have former U of L players that I know of. And Claire Chassé, who played for the Grand Rapids Rise in PVF last year, is switching to Love B to play for the Love B Madison team, which is basically her hometown. So that's pretty cool for her. But also on that team, Love B Madison, will be Anna Stevenson. Stevie's coming back to the U.S. to play. So some U of L rooting interest in the Madison area as well. So very cool. That's what I know of on Pro. I don't know if anybody else has heard anything else, but for U of L players.
A question
Nope, I
I
usually
would
look to you on that, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff, we usually kind of defer to you on your
Yeah.
volleyball information there with your
I think that's
exclusive
all.
and vast knowledge of the program and the participants. But
Yeah.
do you think, and is there a audience for, and how would it do here in Louisville if we were to consider possibly trying to obtain a pro volleyball franchise?
I believe there is an audience for it. Yes. The probably the biggest challenge is both of these pro leagues will have their season during late basketball season. So that would be a challenge. But I think there probably is a market, at least in the abstract. How it would do in comparison to basketball would be the big question.
And obviously,
I would love to see it. Obviously.
an area of play might also run into some problems as well with
scheduling an arena for it. I don't know what they would do there.
Share with the KFCM Center, maybe not.
Yeah.
At the end of basketball season, but it does cry out though. We've talked about this on the show many a time. Why don't we have these 5,000 to 8,000 seat arena on campus?
Yeah.
That not only the team could use, but also franchises of higher amateur ranking or pros could come in and rent it from the University of Louisville and stage their events there as well.
Yeah, that might be a way to make it happen too. So yeah, I don't know. I would certainly love to see one or the other or both even of the pro leagues have a team here. They do have some overlap. They both have teams in Omaha, for example. So yeah, I'd love to see it happen. I've heard there's talks, but I don't know what's going on with it. So
certainly, maybe something we hope comes to fruition down the road. Then, to see what happens here, and maybe we become yet another pro sport team here in our city.
So the other thing in volleyball that we might want to talk about is 2026 recruits. We had some verbal commitments. Wrote in the articles last Sunday about them. I've got 4 names that I know of. There was maybe a hint of maybe a 5th that may not have ended up happening. So these are verbal commits, so there's nothing set in stone about them. It's just like, hey, I'm gonna come play there. Okay, great. But there's no repercussions for changing that for player teams, whatever. So this is merely just a public statement. But what we've got is Blair Thibaud, Thiebaud. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that.
Or Thibaud, maybe?
Thibaud. I don't know.
I know that the AUX sometimes ends up as an O in Cajun French kind of nomenclature.
I will certainly be asking her, so I don't continue to butcher that through her career. But she's a 6 foot. She's a setter. And I don't know where she's from. I didn't list that in my article. Houston. That's where it says. Yeah, I did put it in there. Coming to us out of Houston. We've had some good players join us from Houston, so that's kind of a nice pipeline for us coming on there. So that's nice. And then pretty much right after she announced, we had 2 middle blockers, announce that they're coming our way as well. Amira Bailey is relatively local. She's at a Bowling Green. She's a Kentuckian. So I've seen her listed as 6'4" or 6'5". So I'm not exactly sure of her height. Uh, she's in high school. She might still be growing too. So, who knows? But definitely some height coming in there with a middle blocker. Also in the middle, the other commit is also, or the other verbal commit is also 6'4" out of Zionsville, Indiana, which is basically a suburb of Indianapolis, is Ellie Strecker. So we'll be needing to kind of bolster our middle ranks about that time in 2026 because Hannah Sherman and Kara Cressy will be moving on, and so we'll be looking for some people to fill those slots. So those are good recruits. And then lastly, Jordan Gray will be joining us out of Charlotte, so we can ask her about the monorail. She's a 6'1" left side hitter. We've got a bajillion left side hitters right now, but a lot of them are going to be graduating. So again, it'll be about the right timing to start kind of refilling those ranks a little bit. So
And I
some
think
good
that would
stuff.
be an excellent assignment for Daryl as well, to see if we could actually get her to interview Jordan on a light rail.
Yeah.
You giving me homework now, Paul?
Yes, I am. I want you to meet her at her high school and then casually suggest, hey, let's take a light rail ride. I don't care where. I've got a cooler of beer here. Let's go.
Listen, I'll do an
Yeah.
interview anywhere and meet people out in the world and their natural element. I'd love it.
There
Yep.
you go.
So that's what we've got. These would be players that would be joining in 2026. So yeah.
The future does sound bright indeed then for
Yes.
a volleyball program that is, I think, quite well nationally known. It used to be back in the day you would talk about, oh, that Nebraska volleyball, you've got to. Well, not so fast anymore, my friends. There are quite a few other programs, not only in the Big Ten, as it were, but, for example, what we have built, what Pittsburgh has built, what Stanford certainly has.
Mhm.
Some of the other schools across our nation are beginning to establish volleyball powers as well.
Yep. Some good stuff.
And let's hope that ours continues to get stronger and becomes an even
Mhm.
bigger power. But it is hard indeed for me to believe this, but both hands are on the 12 on my clock, and that means it is noon. In fact, 12:02 to be exact. So let's roll into some final thoughts then. And we usually like to start with these with Daryl. So, Daryl, bring us some final thoughts.
I'm just looking forward to some Olympics, getting to see some sports we don't see all the time. Gymnastics always my favorite. Looking forward to Team USA to bring home a gold and some basketball again. And yeah, one more thing is I'm actually going to be having a local bachelorette party this weekend. So right after I get off here, I'm going to start getting ready for that. Half my bridal squad can't go to the one in October, so they're throwing me one here. So that is my weekend plans.
Enjoy
Do
that.
we want to lay any hints out here, Daryl, on where you and your crew might be
Go crash
partying
it.
at this evening?
Oh, let's just say it's Taylor Swift themed. And then if you can figure out those Easter eggs, you're my new best friend.
If I
Follow
can,
where all the cops are taking their sirens and lights to.
if the EAS network breaks and it goes, we have an emergency alert in the Schnitzelberg area. Daryl is on the streets and doing her Godzilla imitation. Certainly have fun with that indeed. And
Thank you.
I did not get an invite, but that's okay. I'm not very good at those. My favorite was back years ago when I used to crash showers when they would have a wedding shower for somebody.
Oh, I thought you meant like bathing, and I got real scared.
No. Well, it was a friend and I did this. We would find out if a friend of ours or a friend's wife or something, it's somebody who was having a wedding shower. And we would drive to the place, and I would run to the front door with a towel wrapped around me and bang on the front door and ask, "Where's the shower? Where's the shower?" Uh, and more than once, I got invited in to come in and take the towel off. So there you go. But in any event, I did have swimming trunks on underneath. Okay. But certainly have fun with that, Daryl. And if we don't hear from you the rest of the week, we'll know why now.
Thank you.
Be recovering somewhere, curled up with your opossum up in the attic. Let's hope not.
What a visual.
Both you and the possum going, ugh. Jared, what do you got for us?
Of course, the one time I go to a Bets game, Daryl's skipping out tomorrow. I got some free tickets,
Yeah.
so we'll be headed out there. But no, I'll mirror what Daryl said, and just I'm excited for the Olympics to start up, and it's one of the times that I get to move away from college sports for a little bit and just sit there and watch all sorts of random sports, and I get to learn a lot of rules about different sports. And handball was pretty exciting a few years ago. Rugby, water polo, some stuff that we don't normally and regularly see within the college sports room.
And make sure that that curling arm, Jared, is getting it in shape because you will be needed this winter.
I'm
For
not
the,
sure how good of a sweeper I am for curling, but we'll see.
I'm not going to have you sweep. I'm going to have you throw. I want you to hold the hot pot of coffee and send it flying down the counter at the twig and leaf in front of bewildered customers as Jeff and I attack the pot of coffee with brooms.
Hey,
As
I'm
for the,
fine watching you sweep, Paul.
I'm going to use one of those little whisk brooms. I don't want the big fangled broom that people, like an umpire uses. That's fine for me. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want the big broom. And I could probably also clean some suits while I'm at it too. So there you go. Jeff, what you got for me on final thoughts?
I just want to say this has been a great show for me because I've gotten to talk about two of my favorite things in volleyball and light rail and transit. So very cool.
There you go.
We didn't
Just
talk
had to,
about coffee, surprisingly.
no, but I was drinking it during the show. So
So was I. Cheers.
yeah,
And I was as well. My gosh.
yeah. I
So
had
perhaps
my typical, Honey Brothers latte. So yeah,
as a theme show, then we will all fly to Charlotte perhaps in a couple of weeks
sure.
and go down and drink coffee and do a light rail show down there on a Saturday morning, which could be fun. We could have some great guests come on. Like,
Yep.
hey, this is Bob who's taking the. Where are you going on the light rail? I don't know. Great interview, Bob.
Yeah. Transit issues, light rail, roundabouts, bike lanes, bike paths. Yay for all of those.
Certainly, it is a step that we would love to see our nation take, but
Yeah.
steadfastly refuses to take that step.
There's
Uh,
there's there's some movement in some areas. It's exciting to see.
it's meh.
Yeah.
The heart's still beating, but there's no outward signs of life. Okay, fine. Hey, that's for me. To kind of sum up a little bit, I've been having some increasing difficulties with the fine University of Cincinnati and their kidney replacement program as of late. Up there, they had some. Uh, what it all bakes down to, and I'm going to leave it kind of short, is that they had me do a 6 minute walk test when I was up there, and I was there without my cane or without my knee braces. And for me to go 6 minutes anywhere, if I'm going to have to walk it, even on a flat terrain surface with no hills or steps or anything, I do like to have my cane with me and also to have my knees with their knee braces on them since, well, yeah, they were some old boys I used to be, okay? But they were unhappy with my performance. And so they told me as much. And they are now putting me on a, they are now going to evaluate me and see if I'm still a candidate for their kidney transplant program. My first thought was, what in the hell do my legs have to do with me getting a kidney? They tried to explain it to me and failed. So certainly I'm at cardiac rehab. I'm working hard to get my legs stronger and perhaps we'll be able to pass their 6 minute walk test down the road. In any event, though, I think it's stupid, and I'm going to come out and publicly say that should have nothing to do. If you have a candidate lined up, they should not disqualify you because you were unable to pass a walking test. And I'll leave it at that. We hope that everybody has a great weekend, though. Have a great time out there. It's hot. Hydrate, as Daryl will tell you to do. And if you happen to run in her tonight, invite her to go on the light rail with you. take their whole bachelor's party with you. They'll have fun. Everybody have a great weekend.